Excuse me, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
It's time!
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am Tech Coach Ralph, and tonight we are in for another Q&A session where I answer your questions, whether it's your questions in the chat or questions that I have sourced that you didn't even know that you have yet. So we are going to get into it. Let's see. I do not. All right, cool. So, welcome to the show. Happy to have you here. Hi to Beatrice already. Hi to Stephanie. Great to have you here. You know, right, I always tell you guys, right? All day long, all we do is work. We are grinding. We are moving forward. Just before getting on the live stream, was on a call. We were working on getting using Docker to set up Jenkins so we can get more familiar with Jenkins. You know, automating a project so we can get more automation experience, have resume talking points or interview talking points, you know. We're always strategizing I'll tell you this. While I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming of strategies so I can help the people that I'm working with so that they can excel, they can do better. Always strategizing, like always thinking, always planning, all right? So, so yeah, that's like you know, that's only thing that's ever on my mind. Everything that I'm doing, whether it's jujitsu, whether it's coaching, whether it's, you know, like when you saw on the live stream with Terraform, strategizing how can I make myself understand this better? How is this going to adapt to my learning style? And what do? I compared it to what I've been doing for the past 12 years, and boom, it made sense. It clicked. I got it. All right. So that's my mind. I'm sharing it with you. Right. So let's get into our show. I don't want to waste any time because I have stuff to talk to you about. All right. But before we do that, let's go through our agenda. First and foremost, shout out to all of our newest subscribers.
I appreciate you.
Welcome to the channel. It's amazing to have you here. I wanted to give a special shout out to
I appreciate you.
Michael Jenkins. We had reviewed some of his courses that he has, mostly on LinkedIn. He has some on Pluralsight where we can check out a few of them on Sundays, a few more on Sunday to see what else he has in there. But, you know, it looks like very good courses at a very low price, you know. You guys are going out there paying tens of thousands of dollars for these boot camps where you have quality instruction right here. All right, so just putting that out there. Anyways, so shout out to Michael Jenkins for his amazing work and for being the latest subscriber to the channel. All right, so
another one. I appreciate you.
All right, so next up, let's move it up. Before we do that, I want to do a shout out to the Barbarians. Check out the Patreon. I just dropped a video in there where I am going through my LinkedIn to share why I keep getting, like, every single day, I'm getting new recruiters reaching out to me saying, "Hey, I got this position here for QA. I got this position here for software development engineer and test. I have this position here for test engineer." All these positions that I keep getting on a daily basis. I'm sharing with you how I have my LinkedIn structured, because when I look at your LinkedIn, it looks almost as bad as your resumes, maybe even worse. So, and I have in the Patreon my resume. I'm going through my resume and I'm updating it so you guys can see how I'm doing it, why I have it like that, the strategies that I use, So giving you all of that is in there for the low. All right. So check it out. Check it out. See all the benefits that you get, and we can go from there. Okay. So now let's get into our live show schedule. We have our Sunday afternoons where we have software explorations. We are focused on DevOps, particularly Terraform, infrastructure as code. And this past Sunday was absolutely amazing. And you ask, Tech Coach Ralph, why was it so amazing? Because we were able to use Terraform to set up a EC2 instance, right? Set up an EC2 instance, and then it was able to tear it down. We did not have to go into AWS and then go to the EC2 part and then create a new instance and then do the key for it, the security key and all that good stuff. Nope. All we had to do was write a few commands and say, "Hey, Terraform, I want to create a AWS resource. I want to create an EC2 instance. And then I want to give it this AMI, right? And then I want to, and then I apply it and then I tear it down. Boom. And then we're up and running." So that was very, very fun. And you can see my mindset as I applied my automation knowledge to automating infrastructure. It's just automation at the end of the day, right? So that was amazing. And we are going to continue with that this coming Sunday. So Sundays, software explorations, all right? And then we have Tuesday nights, which is two-night Q&A sessions where I either answer your questions in the chat, and soon I am working feverishly on this, right? I want to be able to take live calls from you, right? I want to be able to take live calls. So if you have questions, you can call in and we can talk about it, right? We can talk about it one-on-one in front of everyone, of course, but one-on-one, we can talk about it, okay? That way, you still get to talk to me and everyone benefits, okay? So Tuesday nights, Q&A sessions like tonight, we're going to go through some questions, and either your questions in the chat or some questions that I have found that you don't even know that you have yet, all right? And then Thursday nights, we are also doing software explorations. I love doing software explorations. This coming Thursday, we are going to, so backstory, someone from all the way across the other side of the globe, right? From Taiwan. He sent me an email saying, "Hey, I was following one of your early videos, probably one of the first videos that I did, right? And, terrible quality and all." And he said that, "Hey, I was trying to follow along and I did exactly what you said, but I'm using an Airflow Docker container, right? And I'm using Airflow Docker container and I can't get it to work with Selenium Wire. Any insight?" I'm like, "Well, sure. Like, send me if you have it on GitHub, send it to me." And he did. And I took a look at it and I gave him some suggestions. I don't know how far he got with it yet, but I want to try it for myself because A, I never used Airflow, and B, somebody asked me a question, right? And I am more than happy to give it a try, see what Airflow is, see if I can get Selenium Wire to connect to it. And we just explore. We explore and we always push forward. We fail forward. We do not fail. All right. So that is our Thursday nights. So one more time, the schedule is Sunday afternoons, software explorations at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are focused on Terraform. Tuesday nights, Q&A sessions coming soon. You will be able to call in and speak to me one-on-one. And then Thursday nights, more software explorations where we are focused right now, this coming Thursday, Airflow and Selenium Wire. All right. Shout out to the live show. I have so much fun interacting with you guys. All right. And now our pre-recorded content. we have Monday's Candid Conversations. And tell me, was that like, imagine if that video was good on this past, like yesterday, talking about your online professional presence, right? Especially on LinkedIn, the things that you say on there, how you present your LinkedIn, all that good stuff, right? Imagine how it is in the Patreon when I'm breaking down my own LinkedIn and the way that I have it structured and why I continuously get recruiters reaching out to me every day, right? But, guess what I do every time those recruiters reach out to me? Any guesses? What do I do when the recruiters reach out to me? I just take that recruiter's message and I respond to them. I'm like, hey, I'm not looking right now, but I do know someone who's looking. And I just say, hey, reach out to this person. And then they do. And I also tell the person that, like, hey, I forwarded them the email. I forwarded them the message in LinkedIn that I sent to the recruiter and say, hey, I forwarded your information to this person. Reach out to them, send them your resume, all that good stuff, and then get the ball rolling. That's what I do for the people who work very, very closely with me, because I do not recommend people if I don't work with you, if I don't trust you, if I don't know your work ethic, if I don't know your mindset. Right? If I don't see you as a representation of my mindset, of my goals, then I mean, you'll be lucky if I even work with you at all. But for me to recommend you for something, not gonna happen. So if I recommend you, that means that it's that means you're pretty special to me. All right. So letting you know, if you work close with me and I believe in you, then those messages get forwarded to you. Right? So yeah. So Mondays, Candid Conversations. All these shows come out at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Mondays, Candid Conversations. Wednesdays, Software Explorations, Concept Overviews. Tomorrow, we will be getting unit testing, concept and overview. And Fridays, The Bug Bite, where we review different industry-related bugs. All right? So I'm not even sure which one's coming out this Friday, but we'll find out on Thursday. All right? So, and then throughout the rest of the week, I clip up these Q&A sessions because sometimes you just can't sit through the whole entire thing, the whole entire 2.5 hours, right? Maybe you have to study. Maybe you have to go to class. Maybe you have to set up Docker and then set up Jenkins and then set up Selenium Grid and then configure your Jenkins so you can get it to run your tests, right? And then maybe you need to tear it down afterwards so you can start it all over again tomorrow all by yourself, you know? Maybe you have stuff to do and you can't sit on for the whole 2.5 hours. I don't know. But maybe you have stuff to do, right? And if you are grinding and you can't tune into the show, then I say more power to you, because I would rather you go out there and get it and win than to hear questions that you can always come back to it and, you know, get the clips and take exactly what you need. All right. So throughout the week, we have the clips, right? They come out around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? All week long, every single day, I have content for you, except for Saturdays, but that might be changing. There's no guarantees for Saturdays, but that might be changing. All right. So I don't know why Stephanie's laughing. I don't know. It's so funny. Anyways, all right, so let's move on. All right, so that is our pre-recorded show content. All right. And now, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that way you can talk to me in the chat. You can ask me any question that you want, any tech question, any career-based question, whatever the case may be. I got you, right? And of course, like the video if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with somebody who will find it useful, right? And we got 5. Okay, we got 5 likes. Okay, we're looking good. I like it. So now let's keep moving forward. We have all right. So like I said, I am creating clones because every job I've ever worked for is like, oh, Tech Coach Ralph. Well, they don't call me Tech Coach Ralph, but you know what I mean, right? It's like how can I just clone you? How can we just create more of you? I'm like, all right, fine. I am going to go out there and I'm going to gather a core group of individuals and I am going to clone myself. All right. I'm going to clone myself because everyone keeps asking me for a clone. So therefore, I have to create a clone because if that's what the people want, that's what the people get. All right. So I'm working on that. I got about 5-6 clones coming, right? Coming strong. All right. So better watch out, better level up, or they're going to come out there and take what's yours. Okay. All right. So let's see. Before we get on to the next part, I want to answer Melissa's question. And Melissa says, hi, Tech Coach Ralph. Have you ever used Web3? I heard of it today. Can you give me a little definition, please? Web3. Let me see. Because a lot of times I use stuff that I don't even know what I'm using. So let me take a quick look at what Web3 is. Web3 is Web 3.0, also known as Web3, the third generation of World Wide Web. Is meant to be decentralized, open to everyone with a bottom-up design and built on top of blockchain technologies and development in semantic web, which describes the web as a network of meaningfully linked data. All right, so I can't tell you exactly if I've used it, but let's do some more reading, right? So what is Web3 in real life example? It says the most obvious example is blockchain technology, which may have been the one technology that most sparked the concept of work of Web3. Because a blockchain is necessary for the operation of many other Web3 technologies, it is essential to Web3. A ledger or a record of transactions is the blockchain. Yeah, I can't really say much about it, but what I'll do is maybe next week I can do that as my software exploration concept and overview to get a little bit more detail on what Web3 is, how it's used, its purpose, all that good stuff. And before we go, right, I must say that Melissa right here is 17 years old asking these amazing questions. She heard of it today and she came on and asked Tech Coach Ralph. And unfortunately, Tech Coach Ralph cannot answer the question today. But I gave a good overview on it of what it is, and we are going to dive deep into it next week. And Stephanie says, Melissa, love this question. I love it too. I would have loved it more if I had an answer for her today, but I don't. So I love it just a little tiny bit less. Okay. So sorry about that. Alrighty then. So let me fix something real quick. Okay. And let's go. All right. Cool. And Melissa says, thank you very much. And you are very, very welcome. All right. So, and just a reminder, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with somebody who will find it useful. All right. And now we go to, all right. So I really don't want to talk about this, but I have to. All right. So let's do this. All right. So what I'm going to call this little segment right here, right? I call it Don't Get Scammed. All right. So I'm not even going to tell you, like, I'm not going to give you any details on what, like, not what, but who or which one I'm referring to, right? But I'm going to read a video description that I saw, right? I'm going to read a video description that I saw. And I'm going to and then I'm going to explain why I'm so annoyed by this, right? And why I call this Don't Get Scammed, okay? So here goes the the description, right? So apparently somebody has a live show, right? And they said, my guest went from being a teacher to a systems engineer after completing insert bootcamp name here. They offer cloud and Linux training with 7 out of 10 of their graduates landing $90,000 jobs within 6 months. For those interested, use my discount link to get $500 off. But for those who have questions, tune in, right? And then there's a link to the discount code, right? This type of stuff right here is what really, really irks me, right? Um, like I was telling you the other day, right? So this is not a QA bootcamp, right? It's just a different bootcamp, right? But when we look at QA jobs, right? So first, all right, let's start like this, right? So I looked up a QA bootcamp the other day. Not gonna say any names. I'm not trying to beef with anybody, nothing like that, right? But I looked up this QA bootcamp the other day, right? And they're telling you that you can start off like after you finish that bootcamp, you can start off right making a job as a manual tester, like doing a job like getting a job as a manual tester where you're making like $80,000 a year. $80,000 a year. And if you go with the automation route, right, you should be making about $120,000 a year. Now, and to confirm this, right, one of the people that I'm coaching, right, one of my barbarians, they were talking to me about, like when they actually start off in their, when they start looking for a job and stuff like that, how the boot camp is telling them that, hey, you can be getting $80,000 as a manual tester and as an automated tester, 120, 140, whatever the case may be, right? Now, is it possible to make that much in those roles? Eventually, but to start off with absolutely no experience, the only experience you have is like some fake internship. You don't have any Jira structure. You don't know how to work with a team. You don't have any Scrum experience. None of that, right? Who's going to hire you for that much money when you don't like you've never actually held a particular like one of those jobs before? And not to mention, if we're talking about QA, where are you going to find a manual testing job anyways? So then, for this one I just read to you, right? I go to the website. Guess what they don't have on the website? Stephanie or Melissa, can you guess what was not on the website when I went to check out that bootcamp's website? The one about Linux? Yep. They don't have any pricing on there. There's no pricing. So now, like the only way you get the pricing is you have to call, set up a consultation, right? Set up a consultation, and then they'll tell you that it's $15,000. Oh no, no, no! They have tons and tons of testimonials, tons of testimonials. They don't have pricing though. And like for me, when I don't see pricing on something, I'm like, I don't trust it. Like if I was to go to McDonald's and they don't have pricing on their menu, which I don't eat McDonald's anyways, but they do have really good fries though. But I also go to McDonald's and they don't have pricing, I'm like, I don't think I can order from here. Maybe it's me, right? So now, guess what I did then? I Googled them, right? And I looked them up on Reddit. And it's funny, right? This is the funny part to me, right? And I see this I see this a lot, right? People really they buy into they really buy into it because I guess if you spent $10,000, $15,000 on something for 6 months, right? You can buy a car for that price that'll last longer than that, right? But if you spend that much, then now you have to defend it because you have to justify your decisions. While you have people who are getting the same education, right? They get the same education by going on an online course, getting it on sale, and they go, and if they are disciplined and self-motivated, they get the same education for like $30. But what I suspect is sometimes because you'll pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for it, you think it's worth more than if you were to pay $30 for it. But how is it that my mini $30 worth of education is outworking you? Right? So let's check out what Reddit said, right? Not going to share the name, right? So, ever heard of insert bootcamp name here? It's a training program for Linux and AWS DevOps. Their AWS program lasts 9 months, and there is also an internship right after. Anybody ever use them? And the first comment, right, is a family friend once gave me some advice. If anyone hides their pricing, don't trust them. That was my sentiment right away, right? No pricing, no. And here's the thing, right? If they had put the price, I still wouldn't trust them because I'm like, this, right? But they hide it, right? And then someone comes and says, right? Here we go. We have the defender of the galaxy here. Or actually, they say, I know their pricing. They revealed them during the consultation call. Yeah, okay. So I got a call. Like, okay. And then, so that same the person who talked about the pricing in the first place said, "Yep," which is kind of my point here. Are they the same price as everyone else, or do they gauge your desperation and sophistication on the call and charge you what they want? This is why I don't trust anything without public pricing. It's just sleazy business practices. All right. And then another person says, pricing is very straightforward. All you have to do is click on the schedule a free career session and you will be provided all the details. And then, right? So now this person who answers, they're more along my mindset, right? Just do an online course or courses. Start off with AWS. Then look at Python, Ansible, Terraform, courses on Udemy. Right? Logical, right? Right? Kind of like what we do, Stephanie, right? We look for the courses on Udemy. And then the Guardian of the Galaxy, right? Comes in with his cape, right? He swoops in and he says, thanks. Did you get hired by using did you get hired by using online? I guess he's trying to say, did you get hired, like, did you get a job using these online resources? Like, these boot camps do not find you jobs. And once your time is up, and they're ready to start the next cycle, you're done. You're out of there. Somebody who did a boot camp, right? I was indirectly offering to help them prepare, but sometimes you don't get it, so whatever. But I said, like, how are you preparing? Oh, the boot camp offers mock interviews and stuff like that. But they started a new cohort, and so they don't really have that much time. Stephanie, um, how often have we did interview preps, the like mock interviews, the past 2 weeks? I'll wait for her to answer that question for you guys, right? But I'll keep going. Well, but you'll see. You'll see. All right. And let's see what else they say. Let me see. Let's see. All right, so let's read this one. Just had an hour-long career Zoom meeting with. Yeah, how often have we been doing mock interviews the past couple of weeks? So yeah, somebody says, just had an hour-long career Zoom meeting with a rep from the bootcamp. The Linux course is $10,700 and the AWS course is $15,500. The 92% pass rate is the percentage of people who get certified, not the percentage of customers who get tech jobs. And you're correct, they are customers. I was persistent in finding that number, and it's only 70%. The tuition refund has a lot of requirements, notably 5 months after your 2 months internship. So you're looking at 6 months Linux course plus 2 months internship plus 5 months of job search at a 70% success rate, which I would probably question that 70% success rate. It's just the number, the math doesn't math, right? Amazon course is 3 months longer. I'm just going to go for computer science degree at some school instead of forget that, and that's probably the same price at the end of the day if that university is like in your vicinity. And then we have another Guardian of the Galaxy, right? Defender of the Galaxy says, "What does that do? That doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything with a degree." But the boot camp guarantees that you are going to get a job. Yeah. Whatever. All right, cool. I had enough. But yeah, so the point is, don't get scammed. Like, be very, very diligent and and don't get me wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't think boot camps are necessarily bad. I think they lie to you to get you to sign up for their boot camp, but they're going to teach you what you need to know, right? They're going to teach you how to do this stuff and everything like that. But to be able to guarantee stuff, that's where I have a problem, because nobody who is not hiring will be able to guarantee you a job. I would never, what I can guarantee is we will work at it, and then we'll work at it, and we're going to do everything in our powers to land that position that you want. But I cannot guarantee you that you're going to get a job, especially in 6 months or whatever the case may be, right? And I'm going to tell you this right now. There is absolutely nobody who is going to refund you $15,000 if they don't find you a job. It's not happening. Because, hey, they got to keep the cycle moving. You learn the information. If you can't interview well, if you can't interview well, why is that my fault? If you got a crappy resume, why is that my fault? So that's why I say, don't get scammed. You guys know this too. Be smart, all right? Be smart, all right? So I just wanted to share that with you, right? Because get the information that you need however you can get the information, great. But don't fall for the hype that, oh, we have a X amount percentage rate, we have a 92 this. Nope. It's all BS. I call BS. All right. So shout out to the scammers. And Stephanie says, yes, we're talking about mock interviews. And she says, almost daily that we're doing mock interviews, sometimes 2 times a day, twice a day, sometimes. And it's like this, right? The way that we do it is we're always working. And then once interviews are coming into the pipeline, then we're like, all right, time to switch gears to interview prep, and let's start doing the mock interviews. And we have our sidebars. When I'm like, all right, you want to work on this, you want to work on that, and then we go back into interview mode, and we record it so you can go back and you can watch your strong points, your weak points, and you know how to adjust what you need to work on. So are you getting that anywhere else? If you are, then more power to you. Go ahead and go pay that $10,000. All right. So let's get into the show. All right. Let's get into the show. All right. So where are our questions? All right. So are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? But before we get ready, let's go to...
Please offer me your energy. I ask of you, please.
And a special message from DJ Khaled.
I mean, all we do is win, man. You know that.
All we do is win. All right. So let's get into the show. Okay. First question.
Another one.
How helpful is a portfolio for entry-level QA roles? This is in consideration that I don't have any experience, but I do have a computer science degree I got a few months ago. If a portfolio is very helpful, what would it look like exactly in terms of what I should put in it? I don't want to waste time making one just for it to be useless, right? So, see, this is the problem, right? A lot of people, they do not know how to strategize. They don't know how to strategize, right? I bet you wouldn't even know how to create it or what you would put in it, right? And what is the portfolio for, actually, right? Because when I was reading some of the responses, they're like, "Oh, no one ever looks at the GitHub." Like, "Oh, when I'm looking at interviews or resumes and stuff, I never click on their GitHub and stuff like that." Well, when you're reviewing, especially if it's a tech recruiter, right? When they're reviewing resumes, like, they won't even understand like what's in the GitHub anyways, right? But I'll tell you this. Here are a couple of areas where the QA portfolio comes in handy, right? Let's say you land the interview. Well, I'll start with this, right? If I'm reviewing a resume, right, because they get filtered down before they get to me. If I'm reviewing a resume and I see a GitHub in there, I'll click on it and I'll look at some projects that you've done. I'll look at some of your code. I'll look at some stuff like that. And if I see you have a lot of repos, I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting. This person is actually pushing a lot of stuff up. And then I might look at a couple of them and see what type of code you're in, like what type of projects you're interested in, all that good stuff, right? So I would look at your GitHub, but I'm a different breed. I just like looking at code. I like looking at the different technologies that people are using. But let's say you don't get me looking at your resume, right? And you get a regular QA person, manager maybe looking at it. And they say, okay, I like your resume, right? Maybe you don't have a crappy resume. Maybe you watched the video, crappy resumes, and you adjusted your resume. And maybe you are a member of the Patreon and you watched me update my resume, and then you followed that guide and you updated your resume. And now you have an amazing resume that anybody would love to have, right? So you don't have a crappy resume and your resume actually lands you an interview, right? So now you're in the interview and like you said, you don't have that much experience. And they ask you, like, so now why should they hire you with no experience? Have you worked on any projects? How do you introduce the projects that you worked on? How do you introduce how you learn QA on your own time? Right? How do you do that? So what my strategy is, what I would do if I was in that position and they asked me a question like, oh, whatever the question may be, how would you write this test case, right? And I'd say, oh, well, I would do it like this. And and when I created my QA portfolio, I went in ahead and I used Docker to install Kiwi test case management system, and I stored my test cases in there, and I would use that to log my sample defects that I would find on Uber Eats website. So I created test cases to navigate through Uber Eats, and they're in here. So and I have my and maybe I with a computer science degree, maybe I installed the test case management system on an EC2 instance, right? So I have it pulled up for the interview, so I can say, oh yeah, if you go to this URL, you log in with manager with this password ABC123. You can see my test cases, and you can see my defects, and you can see where I linked it to my automated test, so the automated test can actually update the results of my test runs, right? That's how I would use a portfolio. And then I say, oh, and in my GitHub, I have these tests where you can see my framework. You can see where I'm doing it in Java, where I'm doing it in Python. You can see my API test, all of that good stuff. See, that's how I find a QA portfolio useful, because it becomes a talking point. And if you're already doing the work anyway, why aren't you cataloging it? See, but the problem is with that, right? That I don't want to waste my time just for one to be useless. You don't have a job. What are you using your time to do? How where are you wasting your time? Like, I don't understand how people find it a waste of time making themselves better. I don't get it. So you're telling me, right? Because I'm not planning on applying for a job using Terraform or doing something. You never know, right? But I'm learning it because I want to get better at everything that I put my hands on. So maybe this will happen with Terraform, right? So I'm learning Terraform. They use it at work, and maybe I can join the process, because it's my engineers. It's my software engineers who are working through Terraform and stuff like that, right? Maybe I can say, oh, I can take this sometimes, and I can do this Terraform work. I know it now. I get it. And guess what that does? That makes that adds more value to me being there at the company, adds more value and appreciation to me on my team, right? Because what I always tell you, you gotta add value. So when you guys are like, oh, I don't want to waste my time. Okay, so what do you want? What are you going to be doing? I would rather spend all night. I'll be up all night long, making myself look better than you when it comes to when it comes to us comparing our work ethic, right? Nothing I ever do is a waste of time. All the people that I coach, the hours that I spend talking to them, helping them strategize, that will never, ever be a waste of time to me. See, I didn't even put the clock because I really, really wanted to touch on this one, right? But it will never be a waste of time to me, because the same way that I want to see myself win, I also want to see them win, right? So when you come with the mindset like, oh, I don't want to waste my time, there's time there. You never, like, when you are working on troubleshooting, trying to get yourself better, you never waste your time. Because what else do you have to do anyways? Like, you're not working. So get to it. All right? Get to it. Make your portfolio, get your talking points. Because now, if you get the resume, right? Let's say your resume is good. It's not crappy, right? And now you get to the interview, but you can't interview. So now you wasted your time getting that far. You don't have any talking points. You don't have any questions to ask them in the interview. You don't have a strategy. But what if the next person who's getting interviewed is a clone of me? And you're going to be salty. You're like, oh, Tech Coach Ralph and his crew is taking all the jobs. You're taking all the jobs. See, I don't have a boot camp. I don't have to cycle people in and out. I would love the small group of people. It, imagine if they stay with me forever. What if they become greedy, right? And they don't want to open up any spaces? Because trust me, like after a while, they won't really need to work with me that closely. And if they're kind enough, maybe they'll, drop down a tier so they can make a spot open for somebody else. But what if they say no? What if they say, what I'm learning is too valuable. I can't pass it up. So but but I think that um here's what I think. Here is what I think. Let's do it like let's do it like this. I don't even know where it is. It's okay. I'll get you next time. I shall get you. Actually, maybe it's like this. Oh, never mind. All right, well, it is what it is. So keep that in mind. All right, keep that in mind. Um, the choice is yours. Okay, you can make yourself as presentable as possible. As presentable as possible. I've provided so much game the past few weeks on how to make yourself presentable in all aspects. Right, but you can also stay exactly as you are. All right. All right. All right. All right. So let's get our clock up. That's not the one. Let's get our clock up. All right. So we are going to get to our next question.
Another one.
All right. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you can know every single time that we go live. Like the video, share the video with somebody who will find it useful. And of course, check out the Patreon. Like I just said, tons and tons of game in there. And reserve a spot now because it will not last forever. Okay. So this question goes: jobs that welcome starting automation as a senior plus level. So your entry level automation at a senior level. Is that what you're telling me? Okay, cool. Let's read it. Hey guys, I'm in an unfortunate spot. I stayed in the manual testing a bit longer than I should. I have been in companies where I have been in companies that were only starting to transition to automation, but I wasn't able to get on that train at the time because I became a team lead and got more busy with daily operational management of my QAs. Now I have recently moved to the US with 10 years of QA experience and no automation or coding. Most jobs I find need it as a prerequisite, and I'm willing to start at a senior role again. All right. I'm just currently self-studying with Udemy Selenium Automation, but would any of you have any leads of companies that welcome senior positions given the transition learning I still have to do? In-house trainings are very welcome. I'm in my 30s and would rather have these jobs be remote. Okay, they got demands. Or hybrid at least. I'm in Nevada, willing to relocate to California. Any other advice? Welcome. So the answer is no. I always find it funny when people have these requests and accommodations for their I don't I don't know. I don't get the mindset of people. like you messed up, right? And now, why would I don't know if I can do this show tonight because I don't know. I should probably read these questions before I pick them because sometimes I feel like they raise my blood pressure. You know, why would a company um why would a company pay you senior money to teach you how to do the job? Right? Doesn't make much sense, does it? Right? It doesn't make much sense. So, all right, let's go. Let's do it like this. All right. So you're self-studying with Udemy, Selenium automation, great, right? Um, but companies that welcome senior positions given the transition learning that you still have to do, like I said, the answer is no. No company's gonna do that. You like companies are not hiring to they're not hiring out of charity, right? They're hiring because they need to get a job done. They have a very particular job to get done because guess what? They need to make money so they can be able to pay you, not to be able to train you. All right. The best that you're gonna get. No, there's no best that you're gonna get, right? Because they'll hire you. You go through orientation and all that good stuff, and then you have to get caught up with the actual application that you're working on. Not how do I learn to test the application that I'm working on. No, you need to know how to test already, right? You need like if the companies if you want big bucks, right? If you want big bucks,
Money.
then you need to know how to get there in the first place. And here's the problem, right? By you learning automation right now, using Selenium course on whatever platform you're using it on, you're going to be very, very green. Then now, if you submit your code for code review, well, you might not even get to that point, right? Because now you might, like, if you have to do like a technical project where you have to show a sample of your code, and you might not even make it past that point. Because, like I said, this is not a charity. The real world is not college. It's not your boot camp. It's not a self-paced thing. We have sprints, we have commitments, we have goals that we're looking to meet. Do we always meet them? Not always, but we strive to. And in that process, we cannot teach you as a senior level. And then senior level is supposed to be mentoring, coaching the juniors. So if you can't even offer that part of it, then how does that work? That's tough, right? But guess what? I don't feel sorry because you said it yourself. You're in the unfortunate spot because you stayed in manual testing a bit longer than you should have. And I'm sure you knew it too. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Why is it that as a team lead, busy with daily operations and management, are you working Stephanie, you're working on the time calculator project that I gave you, right? How many hours are in a day? That's my question. How many hours are in a day? Right? That's what I want to know. How many hours are in a day? Because for the total amount of hours in a day, are you doing your team lead, your daily operational management stuff for your QAs? Hmm? Is that like 24 hours in a day? Thank you, Stephanie. 24 hours in a day. Are you doing that from midnight to midnight? Oh, but I have a family and I have to do this, whatever, right? So those are excuses. But it's my family. Well, now your family's hungry. After you get off work, they have. So you said that you're using Udemy courses or whatever, right? Udemy has an app. Udemy has an app. You can be driving in the car or on the bus or whatever the case may be. You can be listening to the course, taking notes. You can be sitting, you know where, listening to your course. But are we on Reddit asking how can another company fix my issues? Fix my life? Nope, we don't do that. You gotta level up, get your skills up. I remember I had this interview, right? Before we wrap it up, I had this interview with a particular company, and the person who was would have been my boss if hired, he was going on about how he's been doing manual testing for like forever, right? And kind of took pride in that. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yes, manual testing is important, but gotta gotta evolve, right? You can do both. So my suggestion for you, right? The cold honest truth, you're not gonna get it anywhere else. You might have to in Nevada, right? While you are ramping up your skills, you can either, right, get a lower, humble yourself, get a lower QA testing position where you can start learning automation and start applying automation. And then you might and if it's not enough money, you might have to Uber Eats, DoorDash, Lyft, whatever the case may be, to supplement it, and still take your courses so you can get better, so you can get back to that senior position. Because at least you have management experience, that's good. But to get back to that senior position with new skills that'll make you more and more marketable. And oh my God, we got my main man here. What's going on, Diego Bora? Let's go. Diego is awesome. Like we worked together at my last place, and he is amazing. He knows a lot about everything, but he is an expert in Salesforce and configuring that. He's amazing. So I'm waiting for him to start making content again, launch his courses. He is amazing. So, and I'm going to get him back. But great to see you, Diego. Thank you for stopping by. It is always a pleasure to see you here, and I will always stop the show whenever you pop up. All right. But let me finish it up before we were pleasantly interrupted by my main man, Diego. And by the way, Diego introduced me to the best pizza in the world. So one more time for the best pizza in the world, introduced to me by Diego. Brazilian pizza. I love it. All right. So, and it was after a competition. I got my Brazilian pizza. So, no, actually, was it? No, it wasn't after the competition. Oh, was it? Yes, it was. I don't remember, but it was amazing. So, anyways. Thanks again for that, Diego. But let me finish answering this question, right? So, yeah, you might have to gotta level up and work your way back to the top, right? Work your way back to the top. All right. So let's go with this. All right. So let's move on to. Oh,
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Diego. I really do, man. Diego done moved away. He packed up and left, and I don't know. And the next time I'm going to see him, I have to travel now. When I want to see him, maybe I'll make it a business expense. Diego, invite me for a business meeting, and we'll make it happen. All right. Let's see here. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so
Another one.
So this one says, too good to be true job offer. I recently applied to a job position as a quality assurance analyst and was just given an email stating I was hired. However, I am suspicious of its legitimacy and, I got a 3-syllable word down. And I am wondering if I didn't do enough research with the company when I applied. They sent me interview questions to type into a document. I turned it in within a day. I did not speak to anyone, nor did they give me a bring home testing challenge like I had done with previous interviews. Not every company I applied to had one, but at least spoke to me in person or on a video call. But after only sending that, I got hired. I feel like it was way too easy and simple to be hired on that. Be hired on the spot like that. I applied on LinkedIn and saw they have a good amount of employees, around 300 internationally, including 2 who live in the same city as me, and they do have ratings on Glassdoor. Should I be suspicious? That is an amazing question. Should you be suspicious? I would start off with yes. As a QA analyst, you should always be suspicious about everything. Everything. All right?
Message.
That's why I'm suspicious about boot camps. I'm suspicious about the mailman. I'm suspicious about skim milk. I'm suspicious about vegetables. I am not suspicious about steak. That I'm not. All right. Anyways, not neither here nor there. Right. But you should definitely be suspicious about everything. Okay. And the interview process does sound weird. So they sent me interview questions to type into a document. So here's the question, right? Here is the question. What are they asking you to do? At the end of the day, what are they asking you to do? Are they asking you to cash some type of check? Are they asking you for money? What is it? And I'll tell you a quick story, right? Put the timer up. Right. Tell you a quick story. One of my friends from jiu-jitsu, right? He went through he went through a scam, but he didn't actually fall for it, right? He got close to, but he didn't, right? Because we started talking about like, this doesn't seem right? But what they did was they said like, oh, you're gonna need this equipment. We're gonna send you a check that you can cash and then you can buy your equipment through this website, right? And I was like, this sounds weird. Like, and then the check that they gave some school's name in New York, and the signature thing looked like it was like a I don't know. It looked weird. Like it's like they typed in the amount, something like I don't know how this actually was able to go. Like I don't know how people are able to go through with this, because if I was a bank, I'm like, what is this, right? But so then we are like, all right, stop the process, don't cash it, nothing like that. Ask the people more questions, right? And then when you start asking questions, they started getting a little aggressive. You know, that's how those scammers do. They started getting aggressive, and they're like, yeah, are you gonna do it or not? And all this crazy stuff, right? So keep that in mind. So my question is, what are they asking you to do? And then continue with that story, right? What we did was we looked up the picture. So I forgot if we did it on. I think we did it on the phone, right? Because like when you're using Google, you can do like a image search, and then we found that image that the person had on their either Microsoft Teams profile or whatever the case may be. They had it on like we found it on multiple LinkedIn profiles, so it was a fake, right? So you definitely got to be careful. Very good question that like you got suspicious, and so that's my question again. Like, what are they asking you to do? Because if they're asking you to cash a check, it's a red flag. So my question would be, all right, what equipment am I going to need? When am I going to get it? When do I start? All right. Because I don't know about Glassdoor, but anyway, I can create a LinkedIn profile. And then I would try to reach out to the people who actually work in your, that you said there were 2 people who work in your area, right? I'll try to reach out to them to see what they say. Is it real? Is it fake? You gotta be a QA analyst. Like you're a QA analyst, you're a QA tester. Do QA. Like that's your job. Like why do we not? I don't know. It's like sometimes when we turn our minds off to the things that we should know the most, right? Like you're applying for a job as a QA analyst. It sounds suspicious. Why aren't you doing QA on the job that you're trying to get? Why aren't you doing your due diligence? Right? So that's what I'm trying to say. That's my point. Like do QA. Find out what they're asking you to do. Right? And then you go from there. If they're asking you to do it for money, if they're asking you to cash a check, if they're asking you to do some crazy stuff, like then you know it's a scam and report them if you can or move on. If they're going to send you a computer and your equipment and your login and all that stuff, then that's different, right? So it does sound shady because you didn't talk to anybody. Did you fill out did you fill out any HR papers? Did you give them your social? See, now the plot thickens. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to do your due diligence. You have to do QA on everything. I don't trust, but I do verify, right? And then after I verify, then maybe I trust. I do not trust but verify. I verify first. I write my test case. I execute my test case, and then I automate it. All right. My life is no different than the job that I do every single day. No different than the job I do every single day. All right. So that is that. Shout out to that. All right. Great question. And I'm happy you picked up on it, and I'm happy you caught it. Okay. So Beatrice says, great show. Thank you so much, Beatrice. You are absolutely amazing.
I appreciate you.
And I am also proud of the progress that you are making in your video editing course. All right. So now let's get to another question.
Another one.
All right. Is it weird that I work as... Start that over again.
Another one.
Is it weird that I view work as just an exchange of time for money, pretty much? This week, someone is taking a group picture of my team at work, and some people seem to be making a big deal out of it. In my head, I'm just silently thinking, I just don't care about this. I just care if I get my paycheck, pretty much. Is it weird that I feel this way? Well, absolutely not. It's not weird that you feel that way. I would not use the word weird, the adjective weird, to feel that way. I would say that you don't really care about the work that you do, and I would it would pain me to work with somebody like you. I actually have worked with somebody like you before in the past, and it paid me to work with them, right? Don't get me wrong. I love getting paid, right? It is a favorite pastime of me to get paid. Okay?
Message.
Getting paid is good. But I also enjoy the work that I do. And it's not necessarily for like I love the company that I work for, but it's not necessarily about the company that I work for because I love the work that I do first. And and maybe just my mindset, my mentality, right? But if I see it as like just an exchange and I don't really care about the people that I work with and all that good stuff, then it's not. Where's the challenge in it? Like I do it for the challenge. Why am I always like, all right, so I figured something out, right? I'll give you a quick example, right? I figured something out at work today, something that hasn't been working for a couple of months, right? Something that I own, but we didn't really prioritize getting it fixed because we have other ways of verifying that everything is working. But I was able to figure it out, and that made me happy for like 10 seconds. And I'm like, all right, what's next? But I'm always in search, right? I'm always in search of that next thing, that next challenge, that next see here Don is here, right? Like those challenges that Don sends, right? I love those. And being able to push forward on there and finding finding what's not working, right? A lot of times if you think about Thomas Edison with the light bulb failing about 10,000 times, for that 10,001 time, he got it. And that felt great. But it's done. Now we have light. We have electricity, whatever the case may be. Light, right? We have a light bulb. But that's done. And now we're moving on to the next thing. You So when you're seeing it as just an exchange for a paycheck, then that means that you don't put heart, you don't put care, you don't put effort into the work that you do because as long as that paycheck is coming, then you're good. See, and now I know. So me being in the field of let's say you're a software developer, whatever you are, right? And now you're sending me to test your work, and I'm finding bugs because what you really care about is your paycheck. As long as the check clears, you're gonna show up and you're gonna write your bad code, and then you're gonna send it to me to test, and I'm gonna be like, oh, there's like I can't even get to the homepage. As soon as I click on the homepage or whatever, I get a blank page, I get a React error, or whatever the case may be, and I'm like, what is this? And here's the thing: the people who just pretty much care about getting their paycheck, they are going to be the ones who don't last very long. Because the ones who just care about that paycheck, do they go the extra mile? Do they put in that little bit of extra effort to make sure that everybody's in a good state? Are they a team player? When you're like, oh, when you have a recommendation or a suggestion, right, to make the application better, is it like just put it in a ticket, put it in a story? Like we need a story for it, like just to change this from green to red. Like really? We're still in the development process. We haven't even deployed yet. But that's the attitude you get with the people who are just in it for the paycheck. Like to be honest with you, like the ones who are just in it for the paycheck, I I kind of like look forward to them getting you know, getting offers from other companies so that they can go and go work with somebody else, right? So now when we're hiring, we can properly vet for those who are not just in it for the paycheck, who aren't just passing by just for the paycheck, just for, something to hold them over, you know? Um yeah, I mean like that, like when with that attitude, like don't get me wrong, like I am not the most social person, right? So like taking the team pic, like when I've taken team pictures in the past, I'm not crazy about it. But it's not also just for the paycheck. It's really so, oh, I want to get back to work. Like I want to figure this automation thing out, right? I want to figure this Docker thing out. I want to figure this infrastructure thing out, right? That's the stuff that is always going through my mind. A lot of times I get paid, I don't even check my bank account. I'm like, oh yeah, I did get paid today. Cool. I'll check it out later, but I have work to do. But at the same time,
Money.
I do like the money. But as long as it comes, like I'm not even thinking about it. All right. So I see some chat. My man. All right. First and foremost, let's wrap up this question, right? Let's wrap up this question. And oops, wait a second. We got so Don says, boom, Ralph, thank you very much. But I do want to address Brunel. Welcome to the show, Brunel. This is my long-time friend for more than 20 years. Yeah, more than 20 years I've known Brunel. Thank you for showing up to the live show. Appreciate you having here. Appreciate having you here.
I appreciate you.
All right, let's go to. So Don says, "Please feed me with something to solve. I live for it." Thank you very much. Like we are always in search for a problem, right? Like I knew the basics of Docker, but we had like this innovation type day type stuff, and I'm like, there was something about QA that was on the backlog for a long time with creating Docker image and posting it on AWS. I'm like, oh, give me that one. And a lot of research, a lot of trial and error, but we got it. I love my, you know what? I was saying like, I love like one of my favorite like quotes or taglines is nothing matters but the results. But I think a very close second is I got it. Once you work yourself tirelessly, right? Day and night trying to solve an issue, and then everything passes, and you're like, I got it. That I got it. It's something to be reckoned with, right? All right, Stephanie says, there is also something to be said for creating a positive workplace culture, and people who are just there for the paycheck aren't contributing to that. Facts.
Message.
She is 100% right. I mean, I've worked with people who are just in it for the paycheck, and it's like pulling teeth trying to make the project that you're working on better. It's like pulling teeth because they rather like they're not in it, right? I'm in it for the project. And Don says, I call it corporate role playing, LARPing. They spend more energy not getting something done. You could have spent half the time solving the problem.
Message.
100% right. I'm telling you. See? 100%. Even the weather agrees. All right. And Don says, when asked how much I want, I always say, I just need enough to not worry about what I'm getting paid. That's a good one. And Don says, Ralph, don't sleep. His status is always green. Shh. Don't see your first Stephanie said that today. When and now you guys are just terrible, terrible people. You guys are terrible people.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
All right. Let's move on. All right. So, where are we now? Okay, next one.
Another one.
Advice on automation testing. Hey everyone, I'm new here. So, I have been a manual QA engineer for 5 years and now I'm transitioning into automation. So, first question is, what is a manual QA engineer? Right? We'll revisit that once we finish reading the question. But what is a manual QA engineer? So some background. My company has an engineering team since the beginning, nearly 10 years now, but the QA team was only recently introduced 1 year ago. I was hired as a manual QA for a sprint team. Scrum team? Okay. But they recently changed the team structure and assigned me to the position of hybrid tester, which means I need to do both manual and automated testing. As I'll be the first and only automation engineer in the company, I feel kind of lost right now. I'm expected to build an automation suite for a website. Now, I have basic knowledge of automation testing, Selenium WebDriver, and I have completed some courses on automation testing as well. Right now, I would appreciate some advice from fellow QA engineers who transition from manual to automated testing. What is the best tool right now? We don't have a high budget. And what language is better? Most importantly, programming concepts. What concepts do I need to revisit in order to improve my automation scripting? I have not done any coding in a long time. The last time was in university. So any advice would be greatly, greatly appreciated.
Thank you for your patronage.
All right. So every week it's one of these, right? I gotta start screening these questions better. So let's just do it this way. All right, so let's go point. All right, so back to my original question: what is a manual QA engineer? Right? I am not entirely sure. So that's what because there's always this thing about the title of engineers, right? And when it comes to engineers, so some people will say you're not an engineer if you didn't go to college to get for engineering. And then there's people say stuff, right? But if we look up the definition of an engineer, right? A person who designs, builds, or maintains engines, machines, or public works. Or it's a verb for engineer, which is design and build, right? So we design and build software, as software engineers, and QA engineers design and build QA stuff, right? They frameworks, test, infrastructure. We have to put things together. Pretty much what we're doing, right? We are researching, we are creating structures, and we're like, all right, now we're going to build this test. We're going to build the infrastructure for the test to run on. We're going to, we create something out of nothing for the most part, right? That's how it normally goes. Now, the manual QA engineer, I am not too familiar with what a manual QA engineer does, but maybe that is the new title that they have assigned to people who do traditional testing, right? See, I don't even like using manual QA. I like to use traditional, because even as automation engineers, QA engineers, like, because my title is just senior QA engineer, lead QA engineer, whatever the case may be, because I do manual stuff. I write test cases, I write test plans, I write automated tests, I do Docker stuff, I do AWS stuff. I now I do Terraform stuff. Right? Not a big deal. So all right, let's move on from there. But that one caught my eye, right? Like a manual QA engineer. But you are transitioning. So now you're a hybrid engineer. You're a hybrid QA engineer, right? So let's make sure we use the right title for you, right? Hybrid QA engineer. So you do manual and automated tests like every other QA engineer does. They do manual and automated tests along with a plethora of other stuff, right? But you're feeling kind of lost, and you're taking a course of so you're taking a course, but what do? Well, the very, 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 very first thing that you should do is sign up for the Tech Coach Ralph Patreon. Sign up for one-on-one coaching where I can guide you. See, and here's the beauty about this, right? You already have the position. So now you just need guidance. You need mentorship. But a lot of times people do not want to pay for mentorship. They do not want to pay for coaching. They do not want to pay for guidance, right? When all you need is a little somebody. You need somebody to hold your hand a little bit, right? However, we do not do pity parties. I do not accept invitations to pity parties, right? But which is kind of what you're having right now. But if you are proactive and you say, all right, I need help, right? So how do you get help? Well, let me find somebody who is a expert in the field, who's been doing this for 20 years, who has tons and tons of automation experience, right? Don, if somebody was to reach out to you, say, hey, I'm in QA. I'm looking to get better in automation. I know a little bit of automation, and would you be willing to mentor me? Let me know your rates, and I see how smart and talented you are, and I would appreciate you if you could coach me, help me navigate the field so I can get better. What would you say? Right? But and then you can go on LinkedIn and see people's history, see people's profile. You can find a mentor. You can find a coach if you really wanted to. Right? But a lot of times it's so much easier to go and post on some website, on some forum, and say that, hey, here's where I am. I don't know what to do. The answer is get a mentor, get a coach. Everybody needs a mentor and a coach. See, me, I didn't have that. I had to dig through the mud for so many years to pave the way for myself. Right? I had some insight on the way, but I had to figure all this out myself. There wasn't LinkedIn the way that it is now, that you can find anything that you need. I was using, I forgot what the Selenium Easy website to figure a lot of this stuff out. I went from Quick Test Professional Unified Functional Testing to converting the whole company to using Selenium, saving us $15,000 a year, right? But I had to figure that out on my own. And then how to do the migration to move all the tests over from one place to another. And then we are able to do so much more tests. But now with the internet, with LinkedIn, you can find anybody, right? You can find anybody. See, now some of the people that you might try to offer, you might not be able to afford them, right? Because let's say you go to Netflix and you find one of their QA engineers, you might not be able to afford them. But you could also join the Tech Coach Ralph Patreon, where I make it super, super affordable, and I give you a plan. Like, take this course, spend this much time, always have the green light on, your availability green, because until the work is done, right? We have a goal. Until the work is done, the job's not finished. There is no sleep. There is no other options. Maybe that's not good for you. Maybe you need your beauty rest, right? But it's up to you, right? That is totally up to you. And Don answers my question. He said they would need to show they're serious before I would even consider it. That is totally true. See, I agree with that, right? And that is like one of my people who are not serious. And so here's the thing, right? And here's the way I can tell that a lot of people aren't serious, right? Because the way that they approach you, they approach you in the mindset of that, like, hey, can you do this for me? I want, here's the mindset, right? And Don, tell me if you agree with this, right? They'll approach you with, yeah, you have 15, 20, 25 years of experience, right? Can you condense all that information and take my lack of experience, my messed up planning and everything, and condense that into like a 5-minute thing where you give me everything that you ever known for free. Give me everything you ever know, like all the stuff that you learned for the past 20, 30 years for free. That's how they approach you. And that's how I know that they're not serious. Right? So anyways, the answer is find yourself a mentor, find yourself a coach, or sign up for the Patreon, right? The choice is yours. And Don said, if I found a rapid automated load performance harness who had that special spark in the wild, I would step in and help, no problem. Shout out to the Ralph load testing tool. And Don says, web design apps focused on testing the app. Who is writing the app to test the QA app? Seems like an infinite loop. Brain hurts. And he said to that question, hard spot first QA. The org may not have a good understanding of what QA actually does. He or she will need to spend a lot of time defining this, or QA could be doomed. And they are quite frankly are doomed. All right, but it's neither here nor there. Okay. So I don't know why Stephanie is laughing. She can attest to this. We do not participate in pity parties. That's what she can attest to. Because I got sent the invitation and I was like, nope, not going to that one. All right. And I said, I have forgotten more than some people currently know. That is a fact. But guess what? We end up learning it again, and then we forget it again, and then we learn it again. You know how many times I've forgotten how to do like the look inside XPath selector, where you like have a element and then you look inside of it, and then I Google it and I find it. I think I finally remembered it after the 100th time of having to Google it. Right? All right. Let's get on to the next question. We are about 4 more to go, but we'll see if we get that far because I got things to do. All right, so let's go.
Another one.
All right, Ested, how can someone tell if this is the right career for them? How do you know if it was the right one for you? All right. So, what type of person tends to thrive in this role? What are some small tests one can try to see if they'll enjoy it? Like a short course, YouTube video, or any other small experiment. So, I'm going to give my answer, but I'm going to drop that question as well to Stephanie in the chat and to Don in the chat. How do you know that you like QA, that you like automation, all that good stuff, right? So I'll start off with my answer because I am curious to see their answer as well. But my answer is the way that I know that it was good for me is because ever since I was a kid, I was always curious, right? Always like to figure things out. I can't remember how many of those little model cars that I would put together, and then you would have to paint them and stuff like that. Or when I do like a science project, and I would do like, how do you do this and how do you do that, and how do you make a radio and all this type of stuff, right? And many of those little projects never worked from the hobby shop, but neither here nor there. And then I remember like just having, I had a drive, right? I had a drive where if I just had to get it to work, right? That like getting things to work was. I remember one of my earlier experiences with a computer where I had a computer and I wanted to play NBA Live on the computer, right? And on that NBA, like, and there was I didn't have a strong enough video card, right? I don't even know. I think my dad got me that computer or something like that, right? But the video card wasn't strong enough. So I told my mom, I said, "Hey, I want to get a new video card, right, for the computer because I want to play this game." So what happened was we went to Office Depot, found a video card, and I'm like, "All right, what do I do with this video card?" I said, "I don't know. Let me open up the computer." And I opened it up and I said, "Oh, this card fits in here." So this I matched up the slots and they fit in, and I popped it in, and then I popped the game, or I turned the computer on, and the game worked. I'm like, "Oh, I just changed the video card. Imagine that." I was curious. Then I needed more space. So I'm like, "Oh, let me get this hard drive. Oh, switch it up. No, put a new hard drive in." I was curious. I don't believe you get it in a short course or a YouTube video or any small other experiment. Well, I mean, I guess changing a video card is experiment, but I had it since I was like 10 years old, maybe 11. See, and here's the problem. We always want short. We always want that quick thing. I was listening to this David Goggins thing this morning, right? And he's like, the reason that we fail is because we're not patient. It's like, oh, I gotta lose 40 pounds and I eat right for 3 days and I've only lost 1 pound. Oh, this diet doesn't work. I quit. Right? It doesn't work. You don't get it in a short course. Like I don't even like school. So if I have to take a course to see if I like something, I'm not gonna like it. I know I'm not gonna like it. Taking a course has never is not what has gotten me to like something. I don't like school. I never liked school. I was always like one of the smartest, but I didn't like it. School has always been a tool for me. I remember when I was in my the school that I was going to, as soon as I got what I needed from the school, I was out. I'm like, I was just about to graduate anyways, but I'm like, I don't need to go to the graduation. I don't care about your stupid graduation, and then I have to pay for the graduation, like to be part of the graduation. I'm like, I don't care. Do I have my paperwork? Cool. I'm out. It's time to get to work. The goal of going to the school was to work, so that's what I did, and I got the work, and I kept going. You know, the type of people who tend to thrive in this role are those who are curious, those who are not just in it for the money. I think that's any role though. If you're not in it just for the money, you're gonna thrive. You know, but that's how I see it. You got to be curious. You got to push forward. You can't be afraid of failing. What is failure? Just the first attempt? The second attempt? The third attempt? It can be the hundredth attempt. In Thomas Edison, it can be the 10,000th attempt. So you just got to keep pushing forward. I think that curiosity is what is going to help you thrive in that role. Somebody says, let me make this bigger. I cannot click on it. She says, greatest strength is my ridiculous attention to detail and my love for minutia. Haha, I genuinely enjoy and am excited about the process of finding things others don't see or notice. See? That is a spirit that thrives. That mindset thrives in these roles. And that's why I work with Stephanie so closely, because of the mindset, the attitude. I'll give her something. I'm like, hey, go do this, right? She's like, okay. And then she's like, all right, this is what I did. I want to show you. And we review that. And like, all right, these are the changes that you need to make. Boom. The mindset. I was like, hey, write me like the other day. I'm like, give me these test scenarios that you'd use to test a checkout, right? She wrote me a whole book. I was like, oh, snap. She wrote me a whole book. But that's the attention to detail, the love for minutia. All right? That's the attitude that you need. So, Don says, I can't help but open dev tools on every website that I go to. I took everything apart as a kid. I like challenging a rule to test the results. Facts. Facts. Make your own course, change the topic of the tutorial, and design your own thing. All right. So that is the way. Either you have it or you don't. There's no way to find out if you like it or if it's right for you. Either you have that curiosity or you don't. If you don't have that attention to detail, that love for minutia, if you don't have that investigative spirit, like everything you do, you investigate, then it's probably not for you. All right? Probably not for you. And Don also said, yep, going back to stuff that you've done in the past is like riding a bike. But not a skateboard, because I tried to ride a skateboard again and that did not work out too well. Don says, a cool show. Download Chrome source code. Check out how Google tests. It is pretty mind-blowing. That is an amazing idea. That's amazing. Maybe next Thursday, not this coming Thursday, but maybe next Thursday night. That might be an awesome show to do.
I appreciate you. We the best.
I am definitely going to look into that because that'll be pretty fun. I'd like to see their test cases for that. So we will do that. Awesome, Don. Thank you for that. And he says, man, QA back in the day did not pay well. If you know what I started off, when I started QA, you'd be like, what? And in South Florida, did not go a long way, but started from the bottom. Now we're here. And Don says, Stephanie test plan game is on point. Don, I told you, she wrote me a book. I was like, I just wanted the scenarios. He was like, and I'll test this. And it was like a little pinball, like I was like, oh my goodness. You are like you're gonna do good in this job because you like that attention to detail on point. Tell you. All right. Yeah. Yep. All for you. All for you. All right. Let's move on. Why don't we? So if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, check out the Patreon to see all the amazing content that's being put in there. I the other day I just dropped my all the presentations that I use for the software explorations concept and overviews, where you can take it, you can make a copy of it, you can change the background, you can make it your own, change the font, whatever you want to do, add transitions, take it. It's all yours. All yours. All right. So now this one says AWS certification. I don't know if I did this. Let's do this.
Another one.
AWS certification newbie laid off. It says, hey all, recently was laid off due to a reduction in force. I am a solution architect with little experience with AWS and a good amount of experience in Azure. I'm under the impression that having the SA certificate will greatly improve my marketability. Thoughts on that? I also have about 7 weeks severance, so looking to get the cert within that time. Does that sound doable? What classes are best practice exam sites? Thank you for all your help. Well, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one because I don't have my solutions architect certification, but I can fumble and bumble across I can stumble across AWS and get what I need done. But I would say like so here's my general thinking about it, right? If you're familiar with Azure, I think you would be able to understand AWS well enough to port a lot of information. I would say, just find a Udemy course. I'd say find a Udemy course on AWS Solutions Architect, where it will be more focused on what you need to know for the test. And it'll show you how to do it as well. But I think because you know Azure, it might come a little bit easier to you to understand, like just knowing the terminology from AWS and how to like where to navigate for it might be like the learning curve. But how to actually do this stuff, I don't think it would be too complicated. And then you could also wait a second. Stephanie's leaving. All right, we have to send Stephanie off. Thank you for being here tonight, Stephanie. I really, really appreciate you. We will get back to work tomorrow. So to say goodbye to Stephanie, we will say,
I appreciate you. We the best.
And
I mean, all we do is win, man. You know that.
have a wonderful, wonderful night, Stephanie. And I will talk to you tomorrow. All right. So, like I was saying, with the AWS, yeah, I don't think it'd be too hard to port over. I think 7 weeks is more than enough time. Zoom, like when a lot of classes that I do, I listen to them on 2x, right? Maybe I have ADD and I can't sit and listen to people who talk slowly. I don't know, but that's what I do. And if you get a course on Udemy for AWS, they'll have practice exams and everything like that, and I'm sure they'll link you to more practice exams as well. So I would definitely look into that. But yeah, so that's what I would say. Yep. And sorry about you getting laid off, but I think that you are in good shape with your experience with Azure, and just port that knowledge over. Know how to navigate, know how to answer questions about it, and whatever. Like if you just search for AWS certification on Udemy, for instance, or Coursera, whatever platform of your choice, you'll be in good shape. All right. So shout out to that, and I wish you the best of luck. All right. All right, let's move on to our next question.
another one.
What do you report on testing? What are, for your team, the most important things you are reporting to management or the complete team about testing? So the the question is, what do we report on? So we have, it depends on what level, or so for our individual Scrum team, we might report on KPIs, how many total defects we have open, how many we closed, how many of those defects are customer facing defects, like where they reported it, things like that. From a wider level, like let's say the QA team, QA management, we would track what hot fixes were done. We would track what we call them sub defects, but what the sub defects are defects that happened like during implementation. So let's say an engineer, they do some development and then now we're testing and we find a bug in the code, right? So then we create a sub defect so they can fix that bug, right? And then we close it within the story. It's not like a separate story based on something that was deployed. And then we track defects that are not sub defects. So let's say it was a defect that was created. Let's say you deploy something and then you find it in production, some error. So like production defects, right? So we separate it where it's a defect that the customer has reported, a defect that we found in testing doing something in production, and then a defect where it was a sub defect where we found it during implementation, right? So those are some of the metrics that we would track, right? From a management level. And then also what I like to track as well is test execution, right? What is the how many tests are run, how often they're run, right? Are they passing? Are there flaky tests? All of that, right? I like to track the API tests to see how fast our API tests are running, how fast our UI tests are running, right? I like to track our test coverage. Although the developers might be running the unit tests, but I also like to track the test coverage of the unit tests as well to see how far our coverage is. Those are all the things that I did. I didn't even start the clock, but whatever. Those are the things that I generally track for the metrics for QA. Let me see. Anything else that I track? So we talked about the bugs. We talked about the executions. We talked about the flakiness, the pass to fail ratio. We talked about test coverage. Yeah, I think that's about it. Like those are most of the things that I would track. Don, is there any other QA type stuff that you would track? I don't know. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I track. I think we can skip Don a second, but yeah, there's so much more that you can track. It's just at what value will it bring? That is the question. What value will it bring? So always looking to add value, see how can this data help, right? So I don't want to just have report on data just to report on data, but I do like to gather the data because you never know. Like this has come handy many times in the past where I would just in the management system that we're using, we have a bunch of data, but then all of a sudden some weird request comes like, hey, do you have this data? I'm like, oh, so well, I do have it, and then I'm able to generate a report based on the data. So always always track and store the data, but the ones that you report on are the ones that add the most value based on the team that you're reporting to, right? So what you're reporting to the team would be different than what you're reporting to management or to QA management, so they can say all right, what is our progress going, all that good stuff, right? So shout out to that question. Though, you see, I love those practical questions that are actually trying to accomplish a goal. All right, we are at our very, very last question of the night. All right, let's do it.
another one.
Alternatives to ISTQB. Are there any alternatives to ISTQB? This sub-uses has used in terms of testing fundamentals. I know certifications isn't important, but some organizations require it. So I'm interested in offering alternative courses slash certifications, especially around testing in an agile world, automation fundamentals. The plot thickens. The alternatives to ISTQB are practice, projects, gaining experience, testing. Like I mentioned this before, right? When I'll ask a interview type question and then I start getting hit with the 10 syllable words, metacognition and thinking about your own thinking and all this good stuff, right? And I'm like, okay, so what's the answer? And it's like 5, wrong. I gotta get that soundbite, wrong, right? What is RTFM, Don? Please, RTFM. So, let's put the 5 minutes up. So, I would say practice. That QA portfolio that you don't want to build because you don't want to waste your time. Build that QA portfolio. Showcase your work. Have talking points that you can talk about. And I don't see many places. Maybe I'm not looking correctly, right? But that's what RTFM stands for. That's the alternative to ISTQB. The alternative to ISTQB is RTFM. RTFM is read the beep manual. All right. So thank you, Don, for that. So in addition to RTFM, we also say you gotta practice. Like I'm not a theorist, right? Like, if you guys haven't told, I love the mindset of David Goggins. I don't think I'll ever come close to it. Even though you can see from my eyes I don't sleep, right? I don't think I'll ever get close to it. But one of the like the favorite things that he says that I wholeheartedly resonate with is I'm not a theorist. I'm a practitioner. A lot of times you guys are like sharing all your theoretical stuff and stuff that like it doesn't work, right? If I say like I remember I gave this interview question, I shared the story before, right? I say, all right, the values work between like this method, you should take values between let's say 5 and 10, right? What values would you test to make sure that the method is working correctly? And I get some, I can't even remember what this thing called, but it's like, I can't even remember. It's like some theory of split partitioning and all this mumbo jumbo stuff. And I'm like, okay, so what's the numbers? And they're like, 21 and negative 100. And I'm like, no. Take your manual and take it to the filing cabinet, right? Put it in there, lock it up, put it out by the curb, right? I just want the answer to my interview question. And I'll tell you this, right? If I'm in an interview and you start rambling and stuff like that, I get so disinterested. Right? I'm like, okay. answer the like. Here's a problem that a lot of people have, right? A lot of people have this problem. They want to give the context first, and then maybe, just maybe, they might answer the question. That drives me insane. That drives me insane. I would rather you just give me the straight up answer first, right? This is what it is. The answer is 4. The answer is 10. And then explain how you got there. I know in math they said, oh, you got to show your work, and then you say, all right, so I go here and then I carry the 1, and then I do all of that, and then I move a decimal place here, and then I do all of that, right? So you can finally get to the answer at the end. Maybe math messed you up, right? When you're writing essays, you start with your introduction, and then you have your support with your thesis with your 3 supporting points, and then you have a paragraph for each of them that supports your point, and then you get to your conclusion where you say, in conclusion, this is why I believe A, B, and C, or this is why I believe this because A, B, C, and D support it, right? All that good stuff. I would suggest when you're having meaningful conversations, right, with somebody who's important to you, when you're interviewing, whatever the case may be, right? Start with your conclusion. Tell me the answer, and then go into all the context of why you have that answer, why you think the way you think. But just give me the answer first, because if the answer is the answer that I'm looking for, then I might just cut you off and say, okay, you don't have to give me all of this information, all the background information. Or if the answer is not what I'm looking for, and you start rambling on and on and on, at least I can stop listening, right? I can tune it out and wait till we get to the next part, right? So that being said, again, alternative to ISTQB, practical. Do not be a theorist, be a practitioner. You can study the information and everything like that, but if you cannot answer a question specifically, then it is totally useless to you. And as far as companies who require it, I do not see it very much. I've never, in all the positions that I've ever interviewed people for or that I've applied for, they've never asked me for ISTQB, and I've never cared if somebody had their ISTQB, right? Usually the people who end up getting the ISTQB is because the company that they're working for needs it for maybe some type of contract or something, and then they pay for that person who already has QA experience to get their ISTQB. I've never seen a company care to hire somebody whether they had who already had their ISTQB, make it a requirement or something like that. Normally they pay for people to get it who already have experience and they need it for some type of contract thing, whatever the case may be, right? So I don't know. Don, have you ever seen a company requiring ISTQB? Like I said, I don't see them pay for people to get it who already have experience, but they need to get that paperwork for whatever the case may be, for maybe some government contract. Because the government loves certifications. They thrive off people being certified because apparently to the government, if you have a certificate, that means you actually know your stuff. Right? But that is that question. Shout out to that question. 100%, exactly. 100% government contract. They love certifications and all that paperwork because they don't know any better. So they think because you have this little paperwork or you took a test, you passed a test, you studied for a test, that you know what you're talking about. Old way of thinking. You know what? They would be much, much better off if they were to go and take one of those assessments at Chaos Camp. Shout out to Chaos Camp. If they did an assessment there, that I tell you, you know what? I'm going back to the question, right? Back to the question. The alternative to ISTQB is Chaos Camp. Chaos Camp is the alternative to ISTQB. If you can do one of those challenges, right? Complete one of those challenges, you are job ready.
Message.
You heard it here first. Chaos Camp is the new It's the replacement. It's not even the new ICQB because ICQB shouldn't even be there in the first place. Chaos Camp is your certification. All right. So I'm gonna.
We the best.
Yes, we are. All right. So let's wrap this up real quick. So Don says Optum is looking for a lot of Azure people. He should check them out. Yes, Mr. Azure, you should definitely check out Optum because they are looking for a lot of Azure people. But if you want to do it, I believe that you should do get Google Cloud Platform certified, get AWS certified, get Azure certified. Make yourself a beast. Make yourself marketable. All right. Don said that you covered it for the metrics requirement. Test count means something in some organizations. I care more about the quality of the test. Yes, the quality. Like I forgot where I was talking about this, but the quality of the test. I believe in. So this is how I see it, right? Oh, it's going to be in the video tomorrow, actually. But what I think is, I like to have a good amount of test coverage as well as quality tests. I don't think they have to be at one or the other. I think that we should always strive to have the best quality test, but we should also strive to have the best of the test coverage as well. Great test coverage with great quality of the test. And Don says legal wants the ISCQB. Of course they do. Gotta CYA. And boom. The boom is for, we are going to do it like this. This is what the boom is for, right? This is what the boom is for. Wait for it. Shout out to Chaos Camp.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
I mean, all we do is win, man. You know that.
Facts. All we do is win. Shout out to Chaos Camp. And we will be we'll be continuing on our challenge on Sunday where we are going through getting that MP3 metadata so we can verify our test. So that is we're going to continue that on Sunday. But coming up on this Thursday is going to be Airflow Container with Selenium Wire. We're gonna dive into that. We're gonna try that out because my good friend from all the way across the world, from Taiwan, reached out to me, asked me for help, and you know what? I am going to dedicate. I was supposed to get to it last week, but I did not because AWS was tripping. But this coming Thursday, it is going to be dedicated to my brother in Taiwan. All right, we are going to try to figure out this Airflow thing together, We're going to try to figure it out together, all right? So shout out to the people in Taiwan, all right? Shout out to people in Taiwan. And on that note, we are done for tonight, all right? So on our way out, if you I know you've done it already, right? But if you haven't, subscribe to the channel, all right? We're growing. We are growing tons and tons of content, new things coming every single day, all right? So subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know whenever that I go live or when I am releasing amazing content to you, sometimes twice a day, right? Sometimes we have it twice a day and we still go live. Who knows? All right? So check it out. Like the video, share the video with somebody who finds it useful. And of course, check out the Patreon. See, I guarantee you there's something useful in there for you, right? So check it out. Join the team. And let's win together, all right? Let's win together, all right? And other than that, we are out. This is Tech Coach Ralph signing off on this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday night. Well, actually, it's very, very rainy outside. It was storming, but I'm out, all right? I'm out.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts. Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again. Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Hear me, warriors of the North. Today we have tasted the sweet nectar of victory. Our foes indeed defeated, and their lands are now bowed before us. The gods themselves have favored our glorious deeds on this glorious day. We have shed blood, sweat, and tears to claim this land. Our relentless spirit, our unyielding determination. These are the very essence of our people. The spirit of our ancestors rejoice in the halls of Valhalla. For today, we have added to their eternal glory. Our victories will echo throughout the ages, and our names will be etched in the annals of history. But let us not forget the present pain the brothers and sisters we lost. They now feast in the hall of our forefathers, watching over us with pride. Their sacrifice has paved the way for this moment of triumph. As we celebrate this conquest, let us also remember that our journey is far from over. More land awaits our conquest, more battles haunt us forth. And the fire in our hearts burn ever brighter, for there is no limit to what we can achieve. To those who dare stand against us, let them tremble in fear, for they shall witness the fury of the northern storm, the wrath of the untamed barbarians. Today we celebrate our victory. Tomorrow we set our sights on new horizons, uncharted land where our banners will fly high. We are Vikings, we're barbarians, we are masters of conquest.
You